Hi guys, what's up? Felix Sean here for my next top 5 video, and I had a very hard time picking which one I should do next, but I ended up because I have like at least over 12 ideas currently, and I ended up picking this list, which will be a top 5 list of companions that can be really good with a certain strategy, companions that don't usually get thought about to be huge powerhouses. They can be pretty darn good champions with the right strategy in, whether it's 1 versus 1 or team battles or whatnot. So, number 5 on this list is sort of a pretty close to 3-way tie between Commander Emmitt, Bill, and Jane. Jane, I would have to say, is the weakest now of the three. However, these two are still very strong. I would say the only difference is Emmitt's better for team battles, where Bill's better for the 1 versus 1s in particular. Their strategy is, of course, they're an extreme counter to musketeers, so if you can send them in, trigger their burst fire along with true grit onto other musketeer companions, they can destroy them. So pretty much they're just designed for hard counter against musketeers. And of course, you could tell the difference for the who's better for 1 versus 1, who's better for team battles. So that's number 5 on the list, sort of a pretty close tie between, I would say, mostly Emmitt and Bill, but you can include Jane in there. Like, if you wanted to do a full Jane, Bill, Emmitt team, I mean, I would feel sorry for whoever that swashbuckler, or that musketeer is, sorry. So now, number 4 on this list. All these, the next 4 I can actually go on the Witch Doctor to show, more or less. So I will just be staying on the Witch Doctor to try and make it easier. I'm trying to sort of rush this video too, because I got to go very soon for my tennis job, so trying to rush. Number 4 on this list is, wait, who was I gonna pick again? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and oh yeah. This is a very more common champion, which is Peppa, which is the Crown's counterpart of Lewis. Both of them work just the same. They both are very strong for certain ways. In team battles, they can of course do charge with either Musketeer Witch Doctor and provide more pressure along with bombs, along with the Overwatch for if you're the defensive team, so they can be very good for offensive or defensive, but also in 1 versus 1. They can be very good for counter to melees. They can put bombs down, they can trigger Overwatch, and they have really good spam damage, especially when they use their super. So they are not to be underestimated for anyone, especially team battles. So yeah, I'd say they're very good for a counter melee strategy, whether you're like ranged against a melee, something like that. So number 3 on this list, this is a strategy that I personally am not a fan of. However, the strategy itself is decent, I would say. Is using Grimtooth. He is a companion that I still think is extremely underpowered, but he still can be useful if you have the right strategy. And there's this one strategy that some witch doctors use, not as much anymore, but still used to use against buccaneers especially, but also with squashbucklers, is they would include Krakus, keep their entire team in a group, do corner strategy, if you're non-ranked, and you'd be able to have a double purge threat against melee. Plus, he can also have some good spam damage if you have buffs on him and he doesn't fizzle, so just pray he doesn't fizzle, pretty much, or miss. And he can provide very good burst damage, along with the purge, which can be extremely important, of course, against melee. So, I've seen that strategy work a few times before. To be honest, I've seen it fail plenty of times as well, but if you're desperate for some plans to be able to beat melee against, if you're on your Witch Doctor trying to somehow beat melee, I would say it's at least a plan that you should try some and just see if you like it. So even though I do not like the champion personally, he can be very good if you use that. So now, number 2 on this list is the one that also is, he's the one that's probably the most commonly used on this list, is Ratbeard. And of course a lot more people know about, how to use him. However, I just know I needed to include him on the list, which is, he's also another very hard counter against melees, against people who are going to rush. He's very good in team battles, because, of course, he'll, provide the if you're a defensive team, he can stop any kind of real rushes on you. But also, especially if you're on Musketeer, but also if you're on Witch Doctor, in 1 vs 1 you can stop any kind of rushing team, especially Buccaneer, especially. And then on Musketeer, you can use the knockback to knock them back into your own bombs. And all in all, he's an extremely important pick if you're going to be Musketeer against melee. And even if you're Witch Doctor, it's still a possibility to use him. I'd say he's definitely best on Musketeer. Just because he's a very strong pick. Now, number 1 on this list, I knew right when I thought of this list, I know exactly who had to be on this, who had to be number 1 on this list, because no one ever uses her anymore. But it's Grace Conrad. Grace Conrad, very limited champion, of course, but there is a definitely way to use her where she can be a really good champion if you're a Witch Doctor, especially against melees or Buccaneers, especially. Is if you do corner strategy here, if you can place, let's see, I'm actually going to try and show you through the edge of this view, but if you can do, I guess, just picture the map in your mind. If you can pit a trap on the one side of the pole, and then you're able to pit the golem on like the other half or whatever, you will have a whole bunch of damage on one side, the hold the line golem on the other side. Plus, she also has hold the line herself, hold on 3. So it's impossible for melee teams to really get through that. It can be really strong, and the Witch Doctor who used Grace Conrad most commonly, not sure if he still does or not, but he did use it a lot against Buccaneers, is Merciless Jeremy Nichols. He was very good with this strategy, and she's just a champion no one ever thinks of, but she can be really strong if used correctly. And if you want to see examples of that, you should probably see some matches like Jeremy that's played against Techno Mage. I think some of them might be on YouTube. I might even do a video showing it in the future. We'll just have to see. But yeah, she is number 1 on the list for companions that can be really strong with the right strategy. Some of these plans are like not extremely good, but if you don't have crowns, these are some really good champions you can use for different plans against in different 1-vs-1s or team battles. And I just think that there can at least strategies and champions or companions other that you should know about, just for some strategies that you might want to see if you like. So that's the next top 5 list completed. Of course, we'll be doing a top 5 video every 5 days. And I hope y'all enjoyed this one. And of course, if you have any recommendations for videos I should make in the future, just send me your ideas in the comments section.